Acorns, peanuts, dandelion seeds, corn kernels, pine nuts. Seeds are everywhere. They are so common that their importance is often overlooked. Yet, over millions of years, plants with one single trait, the ability to form seeds, became the most dominant group of all photosynthetic organisms on land. As we saw with invertebrates and the chordates, the ability to survive with less and less water is critical to their success. There are two groups of these seed plants. Let's take a look at the first group, the Gymnosperms. Get your papers ready. Remember, wide right, skinny left. The Gymnosperms are the older of the two groups of seed plants, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. Gymnosperms evolved before Angiosperms. All Gymnosperms reproduce with seeds that are exposed or naked. The word gymnosperm literally means naked seed. There are four main types of gymnosperms, and we're going to take a look at them. The first is cnidophytes. Cnidophytes are kind of cool looking. They're very big and flat desert plants. Here we see one cnidophyte plant. Look at those leaves. They're pretty impressive. Another gymnosperm is a cycad. Fossil cycads have been found dating all the way back to the Triassic period. There were huge forests of them. Today, there are only 9 genera of the plant. But if you look around Houston, you see it used in landscaping quite often. However, if it is your chore to mow the lawn and you have one of these in your yard, beware. The leaves are sharp and they hurt. Another gymnosperm is a tree called a ginkgo. Ginkgos were also common during the age of dinosaurs, the Jurassic period specifically. This makes it possibly the oldest seed plant species alive today. However, there's only one species of ginkgo. And, or maybe fortunately, maybe that's fortunate because the seeds smell like vomit when they fall and break open. And this was a picture that we saw in our card sort activity too. Also note the odd shape of the leaves. They're kind of fan shaped. This is very unique to ginkgos. Conifers are the most common gymnosperm. We see these all over the place. Conifers bear their naked seeds in cones, and their leaves are well adapted to drier climates. Here you see an immature cone and the seeds beginning to form. So conifers are cone-bearing. They have needles that conserve water, and we're going to talk about a little bit more on those in the next slide. Plus, conifers are evergreen, so they photosynthesize year-round. As we talked about on the last slide, the ability to reproduce without water is important. Conifers have also adapted to many different habitats. This is evident if you study the leaves of a conifer just a little bit. Conifers have leaves that most people don't think of as leaves. They're much smaller than a typical leaf, but smaller leaves lose less water. Smaller leaves conserve water then. Many conifers have needle-like leaves. Many of them have a waxy covering, and that waxy covering helps them to retain water also. As you can see in the picture down here at the bottom right, there are 4 main shapes to their needles. We're going to take a quick look at them. Also, again, as I said, most of them are evergreen, so they do photosynthesis year-round. Cypress trees tend to have scale-like leaves, as we see in this picture here. They kind of lay one on top of the other. Junipers look similar, but they're more pointed. If you reach your hand into a juniper bush, it scratches you and it hurts. The leaves are all shaped, kind of like the things that you use to punch leather. The taxus, or yew, has waxy has waxy linear shaped leaves. These are common bushes up north, not as much here in Houston, but their seeds also have another unique adaptation. The light greenish part you see at the top of the seeds right next to the right is a modified leaf scale. It swells and turns bright red, and although it looks like a fruit, it's not. The reddish color attracts several species of birds that eat them and then disperse the seeds in their poop as they fly, ensuring that these plants have lots of opportunity to grow and reproduce. We also see, again, the familiar needle-like leaves of a pine, as well as the pine cone. So again, gymnosperms, one way they're adapted to life with less water is by having needle-like leaves with a waxy covering, and because they conserve water and they're very small leaves, they do photosynthesis year-round. Pretty helpful. So that's it for the gymnosperms. But before we go, I thought you'd like to see some pretty awesome examples of some pretty cool gymnosperms. These are gymnosperms I'd like to see in my lifetime. They're pretty cool. The Methuselah tree is a bristlecone pine that is almost 5,000 years old. It's located in Northern California, but its exact location is kept secret. You can visit the grove where there are many like this one, but you have to guess which one is the Methuselah tree. So I'm not even sure this one is it. Only the forest rangers know for sure, and they won't tell you. Obviously, they don't want people hurting the tree, but at 5,000 years old, that's pretty cool. The Hyperion redwood, the tallest tree in the world, again found in California, stands almost 400 feet high. That's pretty cool, pretty tall. And think about water going all the way up to the top of that tree. Another one that's pretty cool is the General Sherman, a giant sequoia, again in California. This is the largest tree in terms of volume. General Sherman is about 2,800 years old, so it's really a baby in comparison to Methuselah. But those are three pretty cool gymnosperms that I'd like to go see in my lifetime. Take a trip out to California. It might be worth it. So a couple of questions you should be able to answer as you finish up this section. How have gymnosperms adapted to reproduction without water? So their leaves. What about how they photosynthesize? Do they lose their leaves? Stuff like that. Also, what adaptations allow for photosynthesis in gymnosperms when there is little water present? Okay, so write some questions. Also, don't forget your summary. Okay, we will see you in class.